President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa remains adamant that he has not stolen taxpayers' money and that he's simply been doing farming business. That's in response to reports earlier questioning whether he's been involved in criminal conduct related to his Limpopo farm. Millions of dollars are said to have been stolen from his farm in 2020. Controversial former spy boss Arthur Fraser has now set the cat among the pigeons by making the theft public and asking police to investigate the president's handling of this and, of course, of the cash. There are questions about the legality and amount of money that was kept on the farm, with the president saying it's been less than what media has been reporting. Of course, media basing its reports on that criminal complaint laid by the police with Mr. Fraser. Ayesha Ismail this afternoon covering the story for us today. Joining us now today from our studios in Cape Town. Ayesha, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. A lot of people and political parties, particularly those in opposition benches, calling for an investigation. One of those latest that spoke to this channel earlier is the UDM's Bantu Holomisa.
That is correct, Dan, and what has now become known as Dollargate, political parties are calling for a probe. They're calling for an investigation into the allegations surrounding the revelations that have now come out about these millions of dollars having been found on the private farm of our President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, a lot of questions are being asked as to where did this money come from? And did the president comply with all the exchange regulations? Now, we all know that when we get paid in foreign currency, we have to declare this money to the South African Reserve Bank. Also, when you're bringing in foreign currency, that also needs to be declared. And so questions are being asked now as to whether the president did indeed comply with all these regulations. But let's listen to what the UDM's Bantu Holomisa had to say about this.
It cannot be expected that the president, while the investigation would be taking place, done by his police, should be in the office. Rather, he should go to a sabbatical leave for a few months, and then that the preliminary investigation be conducted by these judges. And upon finalizing that inquiry, the judges must send that document to the NPA for further deliberations or decisions. But otherwise, the allegations are serious, and we cannot rely on spinning all the time. The facts are there. Somebody must verify the authenticity or otherwise of those facts. But we cannot conduct an inquiry while he's in the office. This is a general principle which is applied to people who are involved in serious serious crimes. The president is alleged to have paid thousands of rands to silence the people he accused of having broken into his farm. So this thing is getting complicated.
This thing is getting complicated. As I was listening there, Ayesha, to Bantu Holomisa, you don't even have to answer or comment on this. I was just wondering, the president yesterday saying, I did not steal taxpayers' money. This whole thing was not about accusing him of having stolen any taxpayers' money. It's about this robbery that allegedly happened on his farm. And allegedly, according to Mr. Fraser, $4 million went missing. And when I spoke to Mr. Magwenya, the new spokesperson of the presidency last week, he was saying, no, the money is being exaggerated. So be more transparent, I guess. That's what many people are trying to say about this. But among the political parties adding their voices today is the Freedom Front Plus. What have they told? What are they saying?
Well, when I spoke to Peter Groenewald this morning, he also said to me the issue was never about the president stealing money. He was not accused of stealing money from anybody. The question is, where did the money come from that was found on his farm, and also the money that was stolen from his farm, and then, of course, the subsequent happenings that took place, the allegations of people being arrested, allegations of people being kidnapped, allegations of people being paid for their silence. And at the same time, the Democratic Alliance also said that they are calling for a full investigation. They want the South African Reserve Bank to investigate. They also saying that they would settle for nothing less than a full disclosure from the president. They're saying he needs to take the nation into his confidence. But let's listen to what Peter Groenewald had to say about this whole debacle.
There are many unanswered questions for the president, and the first thing is that in terms of FICA legislation, he is only allowed to have a specific amount of cash with him in private, and he must answer whether he complied to that. The other question is that there is also legislation determining that any foreign money that comes into the country must be deposited and changed for South African rands. It appears that he did not comply to that. And then, of course, we agree with other political parties to say that the revenue services, as well as the Reserve Bank, must also investigate this matter. And the question is whether the president did declare the income. This happened in 2020, so they should know whether he declared it or not. And in terms of the Reserve Bank, we have to ensure that all legislation when it comes to foreign currencies had been complied to. The president must set an example, and he must comply to all legislation. And if he did not, then he should be prosecuted to ensure that everybody must understand that they have to comply to legislation in South Africa.
I guess the whole thing, whether was this regular or not, in line with legislation, is very important, Ayesha, because another question that comes up, I think the president, when he closed the ANC's Limpopo provincial conference yesterday, he sort of missed the boat, in my view, by saying, I have a farm, this is a business transaction. Nobody's questioning that. Everybody in the whole world knows that Mr. Ramaphosa owns a farm, he does a business. The key thing is, how can you have so much money, allegedly, on your farm? Because if you do a business transaction, like any other business, you deposit the money in the bank. And if you're dealing with foreign exchange, like other parties are saying, you declare it. I wonder if SARS and SARB, if they be the Reserve Bank, because that's been coming up as well. Political parties also talking about the Reserve Bank needs to check this, and SARS as well.
Well, Dan, I did reach out to the South African Reserve Bank, and I did get a response from them, and they were saying that it's not the practice of the South African Reserve Bank to comment on past, present or future investigations. They also said that they will also not be commenting on whether they've received the, because I asked the question whether they had received any, the letter sent by John Steenhuisen from the Democratic Alliance asking them to investigate, and the response was that they do not comment on any documents received from private individuals.
Yeah, I guess Mr. Edward Kiswetter of SARS will say the same thing, that tax matters are private, confidential between the citizen and SARS, and of course the law says that. And just finally, you said Mr. John Steenhuisen has told you that they've written to the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank is not commenting on it because that's not what they do. But the DA itself, what more do they want to see out of this saga?
Well, of course, they're calling for a full investigation. They're also saying that the president has to take the country into his confidence. And as I said earlier, they're calling for a full disclosure. But also remember, Dan, that on Thursday, the president is expected to do the presidency's budget vote. So I'm sure that he will be peppered with questions on Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to wait and see what's going to happen then, but a lot still remains to be answered. Thank you very much, Ayesha Ismail, live in our Cape Town studios about this whole matter. I guess the point I'm trying to make is, yes, Mr. President, we know you've got a business, you've got a farm, you trade in wildlife. That's fine, it's a business. But then there's bank. When you do business, you get money, you put it in a bank, you declare it. So the banks under the FICA law can know exactly what is happening. And nobody is accusing accusing you, nobody has, from what I've seen, of stealing money, taxpayers' money. Nobody has done that so far. So transparency is demanded, especially because you got into the office on the ticket of this new dawn of democracy, of anti-corruption. That's the ticket you got on, and it's important to be transparent and stay true to that. And also to say, oh, I'm focusing on recovering the economy and rebuilding the country. Yeah, that's your job. That's what you should do all the time. Nobody questions that. There are questions here that need to be answered. Take the nation into your confidence, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, and this whole thing will go away. If everything was legit, well, very easy to be transparent. But there are so many questions now that are around, and staying away from them without taking the nation into your confidence, you create a vacuum and more rumors and speculation. Hopefully you'll use the Thursday session in Parliament to put this matter to bed. We wait and see.